Listen up, everyone. Whether you are a die-hard tennis fanatic or a proud supporter waving the flag from halfway across the world, I need you to pause whatever you are doing immediately. We have just received a breaking update that is absolutely massive. We are talking about a magnitude 10 earthquake that is going to shake the foundations of the WTA Tour. For the past few weeks, the rumor mill has been spinning out of control, with whispers flooding internet forums and debates raging across Twitter and Instagram about whether this was actually going to happen. But the speculation ends right now. Today, the rumors are officially dead because we have the confirmed schedule and the green light has been given. The target is acquired, and let me tell you, the player we are talking about has graduated from being a promising talent to a legitimate supernova ready to explode on the main stage. Get your planners out and circle March 4th in permanent red ink because we are heading to the scorching heat of the California desert. We are talking about the BNP Paribas Open at Indian Wells Tennis Paradise, the one tournament that every expert agrees is effectively the fifth Grand Slam of the year. This headline is going to send shockwaves from the United States all the way to the Philippines, leaving the global tennis community scrambling to react. It is official, Alexandra Eala is in the draw, but do not make the mistake of thinking she is just there to fill a spot on the roster. This is not a participation trophy run. This is a hostile takeover. This is a declaration that she belongs at the top of the food chain. We are looking at a 20-year-old phenomenon who has not just opened the door to the elite tier. She has kicked it off its hinges and smashed through the top 50. Sitting pretty at a career-high world ranking of number 45, she is walking straight into the lion's den to trade blows with the absolute heavyweights of the game. Let us be real about what is at stake here. The California Open might sound nice, but Indian Wells is a brutal proving ground that chews up weakness and spits it out. This is the sacred dirt where legends are forged, and let me assure you, Alex is not flying across the ocean just to work on her tan. She is coming into this tournament hotter than the desert sun, riding the wave of a dominant performance in Abu Dhabi and a gold medal sweep at the Southeast Asian Games. She is carrying the momentum of a history-making 2026 season, proving she can hang with the best after staring down world number 1, Iga Swiatek, in Miami and taking the win. The American crowds are in for a rude awakening because too many casual fans still look at her and see an underdog story. The old guard is going to be stunned because they think jumping into a WTA 1000 event as a legitimate title threat is too big of a step for someone her age. But if you have really been watching the footage, if you have seen that lefty forehand painting the lines like a laser-guided missile, and if you have witnessed that undeniable puso, that warrior spirit she brings to every single point, then you know her presence isn't the surprise. The real surprise is going to be the damage she inflicts when she steps onto that iconic purple hardcourt inside Stadium 1. The field is absolutely stacked with killers like the defending champ Mira Andreeva, the power hitter Aryna Sabalenka, and the ice-cold precision of Elena Rybakina. And standing tall right in the middle of that lineup, ready to go toe-to-toe with the giants, is the pride of the Philippines. Now, why is March 4th such a pivotal date? Indian Wells is a strange beast. The dry desert air makes the ball fly through the atmosphere with less resistance. However, the courts themselves are slow and gritty, rewarding the tactical geniuses who can construct a point rather than just the players who try to bash the cover off the ball. This unique environment is practically designed for Eala's evolving playstyle. This is the platform where she transforms from a top prospect into a global superstar. Stick around because for the next hour we are doing a deep dive. We aren't just reading headlines. I am going to explain why this changes the entire trajectory of the 2026 tour. We are going to dissect the technical matchups, break down the massive ranking points at stake, and discuss the historical significance because we are watching a legacy being built right in front of our eyes. The desert is calling. March 4th is the day, and Alex Eala is ready to answer that call. The world is about to learn the hard way why you never bet against her. Buckle up, folks, because the revolution is being televised and it starts now. Alright, let us move past the hype and get down to business with a comprehensive breakdown of the key factors. We need to cut through the noise and look at the cold, hard data to understand what we are really dealing with here. To grasp the full weight of Alex Eala competing at Indian Wells on March 4th, you have to understand the specific battlefield she is walking into. The BNP Paribas Open isn't just another week on the calendar. It is a completely different animal compared to anything else on tour. In the tennis pecking order, you have the four majors, and then by a margin so slim you can barely see it, you have Indian Wells sitting right there. It is the biggest combined event outside the Grand Slams, backed by billionaire Larry Ellison, who has spared no expense in making it a literal tennis utopia. But do not let the palm trees and luxury confuse you. For the athletes, this place is a grueling test of physical endurance and mental fortitude. The conditions in the Coachella Valley are tricky. It looks like a standard hard court on TV, but the surface acts very differently in real life. The court surface has a gritty sandpaper-like texture that really grabs onto the felt of the ball, causing it to slow down and kick up high. Then you add the atmospheric factor. The dry, desert heat thins out the air so the ball flies fast through the air, but the court slows it down as soon as it lands. It creates this crazy paradox where you need the raw power to punch through the air, but also the touch and heavy spin to control the ball when it bites the court. This is known as the Indian Wells paradox, and it is the exact reason why Alex's entry into this specific draw is so exciting for analysts like us. Let us zoom in on her technical profile for a second, specifically the massive advantage she has as a lefty. Being left-handed here is a strategic cheat code, especially on the ad court, where she can slice that serve out wide and drag her opponent into the stands to open up the court. That wicked southpaw spin she generates is built to kick aggressively off the surface, forcing right-handed rivals to handle the ball way up high, often uncomfortably above their shoulder line. It turns the match into a tactical puzzle that is incredibly painful to solve, but beyond the spin, we have to discuss the physical transformation as Eala has spent the last 12 months tearing down and completely rebuilding her athletic engine. The receipts were there for everyone to see during her electrifying run to the quarterfinals in Abu Dhabi just last week, where she proved she isn't just surviving baseline rallies anymore, she is thriving in them. She has become the aggressor, the one dictating the tempo of the point, and you just have to look at how she clawed her way back from a set down against Alexandra Eala in a grueling marathon that lasted nearly 3 hours. That performance went far beyond a standard tennis match. It was a brutal physical inquisition, a test of pure mental grit, and she passed that examination with absolute conviction. Now let us take a breath and rewind for a second to fully frame why this potential upset is brewing and why the American tennis establishment might be caught completely napping. It really comes down to visibility. The mainstream tennis media here in the States naturally keeps a laser focus on their homegrown heroes like Coco Gauff, Jessica Pegula, and Ben Shelton. They tend to view international rising stars through a rearview mirror, so to many casual fans in California, Eala is likely frozen in time as that promising kid who hoisted the U.S. Open Junior Trophy a few years back. What they have failed to register is the absolute metamorphosis that has occurred since she left those junior days behind her. They likely slept on her stunning rampage to the semifinals at the 2026 Miami Open, where she systematically dismantled some of the biggest power hitters on the tour. They may have missed the grit she displayed grinding through the ITF circuit, earning ranking points the hard way. But when she walks out on March 4th, the gallery is going to witness a competitor who has fully shed her junior skin. They are about to be staring down the barrel of a ruthless top 50 predator. And now we need to discuss the massive implications of her current standing in the world rankings. Rolling into Indian Wells, ranked as the world number 45, hands her a colossal strategic advantage before a single ball is even hit. Crucially, it means she bypasses the qualifying rounds entirely, which is huge, because the qualies at Indian Wells are essentially a Grand Slam-level war zone in their own right. That qualifying bracket is a brutal meat grinder just to reach the starting line. So by skipping that gauntlet, Eala enters the main draw with fresh legs and a full tank of gas. She preserves her critical emotional energy for the big show, and who exactly is waiting for her? The acceptance list reads like a definitive roll call of elite women's tennis. You have the world number 1, Iga Swiatek, who absolutely eats these gritty, slower hard courts for breakfast. And you have Aryna Sabalenka, whose raw power is terrifying but can get volatile in the thin desert air. Then there is the defending champion Mira Andreeva, another tennis prodigy who effectively stands as Eala's direct peer and generational measuring stick. A potential showdown between Eala and Andreeva in the California desert would essentially be a crystal ball, giving us a preview of the rivalry destined to define women's tennis for the next decade. However, we need to peel back the layers and look deeper into the psychological weight resting on her shoulders at this specific moment. Alexandra is carrying the flag not just for a single nation, but truly for an entire region, given that Southeast Asian tennis has historically been severely underrepresented at this elite table. When Alex takes the court, she is not playing solely for herself. She is competing for the millions of Filipinos back home who set their alarms for 3 o'clock in the morning. They wake up to watch blurry, buffering live streams just to catch a glimpse of her, and she plays for the Kababayans, residing right there in the Golden State. Let us be honest, the Filipino community in California is absolutely massive, meaning Indian Wells is going to feel shockingly like a home game for her. The electric energy that the Filipino diaspora brings to sporting events is unrivaled, a phenomenon we witnessed firsthand shaking the stands during the SEA Games in Thailand and again in Miami. When she steps onto the stadium court on March 4th, the roar from the stands is going to be deafening, and that built-in support system serves as a tangible weapon against her opponents. Let us analyze the form she displayed in Abu Dhabi to project exactly how she will perform under the blazing California sun. In her clash against Sasnovich, we observed a newfound tactical maturity, whereas in the past Eala might have tried to simply blast her way out of trouble, when she showed remarkable adaptation when down a set this time. She began opening up the court with sharper angles and incorporated the drop shot with the lethal precision of a surgeon. She successfully baited Sasnovich into coming to the net only to blister a passing shot right by her, and this level of versatility is absolutely critical for success at Indian Wells. You simply cannot survive as a one-dimensional ball striker in the desert because the swirling wind will destroy your rhythm. You need soft hands and delicate touch, which Eala possesses in spades. However, we must remain objective and address the challenges, as her loss to Ekaterina Alexandrova in the Abu Dhabi quarterfinals highlighted specific cracks in the armor that still require patching. Alexandrova is a relentless flat hitter who strikes the ball incredibly early, robbing her opponent of precious reaction time. She successfully rushed Eala on the faster hard courts of the Middle East, which poses a problem, but here is the good news regarding the venue change. The surface at Indian Wells is significantly slower, granting Eala that vital extra millisecond to set her feet, load up that heavy lefty forehand, and dictate point construction. The atmospheric conditions in California actually serve to mask her vulnerabilities while simultaneously throwing a spotlight on her biggest strengths. There is also the critical coaching element to consider, as her tenured training at the Rafa Nadal Academy has been absolutely instrumental in her development. They instill a very specific brand of tennis focused on high intensity, heavy topspin, and a never-say-die defensive mindset, which are the exact ingredients required to win on red clay. Interestingly, Indian Wells plays more like a slow European clay court than almost any other hard court currently on the tour. Insiders often jokingly refer to it as green clay, and it is certainly no coincidence that Rafael Nadal dominated that tournament for years. Her training philosophy is practically genetically engineered for this specific surface. So let us look at the massive financial and career stakes, because the prize money here is astronomical. A deep run in the desert can financially set a player up for the entire year, but even more valuable than the paycheck are the ranking points. There are 1,000 points on the line for the ultimate winner, but even making an appearance in the round of 16 provides a massive boost to the standings. If Eala performs well here, she is not just cementing her spot in the top 50, she is legitimately looking at securing a seeded position for the French Open. That is the incredible trajectory we are witnessing, moving from a wildcard entry to a seeded player in the span of a single season. Let's get straight to the biggest narrative circulating the tour right now, because we need to address the massive elephant in the room regarding career trajectories. There is a persistent old-school myth that after a player enjoys a spectacular breakout season, they are inevitably destined to crash back down to earth, the dreaded sophomore slump. Well, Alexandra Eala didn't just crack the glass ceiling in 2026. She completely shattered it and rewrote the script on what a rising star can achieve. If you were following conventional sports logic, 2027 is theoretically supposed to be her year of struggle, a season defined by adjustments and growing pains. However, she is absolutely defying those predictions by storming into the new season with incredible momentum. She looks physically dominant and stronger than we have ever seen her. You can see it in her eyes. She is playing with a ferocious, ravenous hunger that is entirely new to her game. This is clearly not an athlete who is content to rest on the history she made last year, and she is certainly not satisfied with just flashing her Southeast Asian Games gold medal. She wants more. This is a competitor who understands the brutal truth of professional tennis better than anyone. You are only as good as your very last performance. So I want you to close your eyes for a second and visualize the scene that is waiting for us on March 4th. Picture the late afternoon sun, slowly dipping behind the jagged silhouette of the Santa Rosa Mountains, painting the California desert sky in those signature bruised shades of deep purple and burnt orange. The stadium floodlights hum to life, signaling that it is officially prime time. The chair umpire leans into the microphone and announces, "From the Philippines, Alexandra Eala." The energy in the crowd instantly explodes. Across the net stands her opponent, perhaps a comfortable top 20 veteran who thinks she is in for a routine walk in the park. She is mistaken. The first ball is struck, cracking through the dry air and echoing across the court. The shot clock starts ticking down. The pleasantries are over, and the real battle begins. The American audience in the stands, the commentators broadcasting on the major tennis networks, and the pundits live tweeting the action are all going to come to a sudden, jarring realization. We are not watching a nice underdog story anymore. This is a full-blown hostile takeover of the rankings. Eala is bringing a distinct, suffocating rhythm to these hard courts. You hear her grunt with maximum effort on every single stroke, and you see her fist pump with raw passion, yet her tactical mind remains calculating and cold as ice. I want to take a moment to deep dive into a specific technical improvement she has made her return of serve. In the landscape of modern women's tennis, the return game has arguably become more critical to success than the serve itself. The unique conditions at Indian Wells absolutely reward aggressive returners because the gritty, slow court surface causes the ball to check up and sit high in the strike zone for a fraction of a second. Eala and her team have been tirelessly drilling this specific mechanic, working on stepping well inside the baseline to take the ball early on the rise, effectively cutting off her opponent's reaction time and rushing them. If she can successfully neutralize the massive first-strike weaponry of power hitters like Sabalenka or Rybakina, the statistical probability of winning the rally shifts heavily in her favor. Once the point is neutral, she is fitter, faster, and more consistent from the back of the court than almost anyone currently sitting outside the top 10. And we certainly cannot overlook the immense strategic value of her participation in the doubles draw. There are strong whispers circulating among insiders that she intends to sign up for doubles as well, mirroring her successful strategy from Abu Dhabi. Competitive doubles play is essential for sharpening those net instincts and improving rapid-fire reflexes under pressure. It also keeps the competitive adrenaline flowing on days when she doesn't have a singles match. If she commits to playing both disciplines, it is a massive indicator of her supreme confidence in her physical conditioning to handle the workload. This comprehensive analysis wouldn't be complete without mapping out the gauntlet ahead. Immediately following Indian Wells is Miami, completing the prestigious and grueling Sunshine Double. Remember, she reached the semifinals in Miami last year, which was a career-defining run for her. However, that also means she has a mountain of ranking points to defend, and that kind of pressure can be absolutely crushing for a young player to carry. By performing well here at Indian Wells, she can bank fresh points early in the swing, effectively acting as an insurance policy and relieving that heavy mental burden before she even touches down in Florida. It is a stroke of brilliance in terms of schedule management and periodization by her and her coaching team. So when you see a headline claiming the entire United States will be shocked, understand that it is not clickbait, it is a prophecy. They will be stunned by the sheer volume and passion of the Filipino fans who will be in attendance. They will be completely taken aback by the newfound maturity, the poise, and the tactical patience in her gameplay. They will be shocked that a 20-year-old talent from Quezon City can outgrind and outsmart the polished factory-made products of the massive American and European tennis academies. Mark the date on your calendar, March 4th. It marks the official start of the American hardcourt swing. It is the opening paragraph of her next chapter. For Alex Eala, this is the moment she stops politely knocking on the door of the elite and kicks it wide open. As we wrap up this extensive preview, I want you to genuinely pause and appreciate the rarity of the sporting evolution we are currently witnessing in real time. Throughout the history of athletics, there are specific moments that serve as definitive turning points, lines drawn in the sand, where before transforms into after. This is one of those watershed moments for Philippine tennis and, frankly, for the entire landscape of Asian tennis as a whole. March 4th at the California Open is shaping up to be historical. We have spent the last hour dissecting the biomechanics of her backhand wing. We've analyzed the physics of the Indian Wells surface and the statistical probabilities of her potential draw, but data and physics only reveal half of the narrative. The other half of the story is written in sweat, in sacrifice, and in the lonely, grueling hours spent on practice courts when no cameras are there to capture the glory. Alex Eala is no longer just the future of the sport. The future has officially arrived. She is the now. When she walks out onto those purple hard courts in California, she carries the heavy hopes of a nation that is starving for global sporting validation. But beyond national pride, she carries a standard of personal excellence that transcends borders and flags. She is playing to cement her legacy. She is competing to prove that she belongs not merely in the conversation for the top 50, but securely inside the world's top 10. The shock that is coming to the US tennis establishment is the realization that the hierarchy of power in the women's game is fundamentally shifting right under their feet. New names are being engraved onto the championship trophies. New flags are being raised to the rafters. And leading that charge is a young woman who refuses to be boxed in by limits. So here is my direct call to action for you. Do not let this moment pass you by. March 4th is the date you need to remember. Clear your calendar, find the live stream, check your local broadcast listings. If you are anywhere near California, buy a ticket and get to the grounds. Be part of that wall of sound that greets her. Witness history in the making. Witness the grit. Witness the undeniable meteoric rise of Alexandra Eala. Because years from now, when she is lifting Grand Slam titles and sitting comfortably at world number 1, you will want to be able to tell people, I was watching live when she shocked the world in California. This is bigger than just a tennis match. This is the ascent of a champion. Thank you so much for staying with us for this deep dive analysis. We will be covering every single match, every point played, and every breaking update as we inch closer to the start of the tournament.